Hey, beautiful people of the internet, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully great, and welcome back to some Warframe. And as per the title of this video does state, we're going to be talking about the brand new augment that has been released for Frost, and let me tell you, it is absolutely nasty. And I'm glad it's on Frost, because for a very long time I've seen plenty of Warframes out there that have absolutely gained so much love when it comes to rework, and Frost unfortunately has been left out. The only time that DE has actually touched Frost was when, you know, they nerfed his bubble, and essentially all they've done is if a nullifier does touch Frost's bubble, it immediately breaks. And that's really unfortunate. That's more of a nerf, and I don't know why they did it, because for a very long time, especially when it comes to old school Warframe, he was very good for defense. But for nowadays, he's actually bottom tier or mediocre at best, depending on the type of faction that you guys actually do go and face. But thanks to his augment, it is an absolute game changer. And in fact, I'm probably going to be using Frost for more end game survival, just because of how well he provides so much utility and a lot of killing. Also, if you guys would like to support me or the channel any further, remember to spot and click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos. Without further ado, let's get this one on the road, shall we? Let's talk abilities. So when it comes to Frost's kit, I've done a bit of a few modifications. In fact, you could say that I've done a bit of a mistake, and I'll tell you guys exactly what. So essentially, we're going to be fully relying on Avalanche. As you guys can see, here it is. Guys want to know how it works, feel free to pause the video. But essentially, we're going to be taking full advantage of Avalanche's freezing ability. Now, I'll get into that in just a second. And essentially, we've replaced Frost's #1 with Spectre Rage. And here's the one mistake that I do feel that I have done. And that is, instead of replacing Frost's #1, we should rather go and replace Frost's Ice Wave. Why I say this is because while you guys are playing as Frost, you're going to be taking advantage of Snow Globe. Now, during the end game run, Snow Globe is actually relatively powerful just because it can provide you with a bit of cover. However, without Frost's #1, you will not be able to freely remove the globe at will. The only way to really remove the globe is if hope and pray that the enemies, shoot it down, damage it enough where it just disappears. Or you guys have to go to another location that would be a secluded location and just spam it 5-6 times. Now, that is a fix, but it's more of a band-aid fix just because of the fact that you're going to be running through energy like it is no tomorrow. But energy is not going to be a problem, especially with Spectre Rage, because we are going to be taking full advantage of its augment. If you guys didn't know, enemies killed within the Spectre Rage's radius, you'll be able to go and get yourself infinite energy. In other words, enemies have a 50% chance to go and drop those energy orbs. In other words, if the first enemy doesn't drop it, then the second enemy is guaranteed to go and drop it. We're going to be using Steel Charge is so we can have a much larger mod capacity pool. In other words, the more capacity you have, the more powerful your build will be, because you can go and fit more powerful mods and more mods in general. Next up, we do have ourselves Power Drift, Blind Rage, and Energy Conversion for more power strength. Now, why we're going to be dealing with more power strength is because the more power strength you guys have, the more armor you will be stripping with Avalanche. And if you guys didn't know, if you guys are up against armored units, you'll be able to go and strip their armor, leave behind flesh, and absolutely decimate the enemies in general. However, the armor stripping will only last as long as the enemies are frozen. And of course, if the enemies are already frozen and then you're able to go and activate energy conversion, then what is going to happen is that you'll not be able to strip their armor any further or at all. You essentially have to wait until they become unfrozen, rebuff yourself with energy conversion, and try again. But yeah, moving on to our next mod, we have Prime Flow. Once again, we do not want to restrict our energy economy at all. We've also got ourselves a primed continuity. That way we can have the enemies freeze for a decent amount of time. We've also got ourselves a fleeting expertise, which gives us more energy efficiency. Now, a lot of people will probably argue that you don't really need energy and efficiency, and I disagree with you guys, because you never know what could happen, because when you start getting into those late games, a lot of these enemies will start coming after you and they'll be liches, and if you guys didn't know, liches will then go and zap your energy. Also, we're adding Streamline for even more efficiency. One downside to adding fleeting expertise is that it minuses your duration. In other words, by adding prime continuity, you'll be able to neutralize your duration as well. The same thing can be said with your range, but that's not really that important, because there'll be other ways to go and bring enemies to yourself. And finally, moving on to the two most important mods for this build is we have ourselves Spectre Siphon and also Biting Frost. And of course, the aura or the augment will allow us to replenish our energy at will, so long as we go and kill the enemies within the mirrors radius. If you guys go kill the enemies within those radius, those enemies will have a 50% chance to go and drop an energy orb. And of course, we have another important mod, that being Biting Frost. And essentially, this is a brand new augment that came out with the recent update called, I think it's called Echoes of War. And essentially, if the enemy is frozen, Frost gains 200% critical chance with a 200% critical damage against frozen enemies. And let me tell you, Biting Frost is absolutely insane. Remember when I told you guys that don't worry too much about your range, there's other ways of doing it? Well, here's what we've got. Now, we're going to be taking full advantage of our operator arcanes called Mage's Anomaly. And if you guys didn't know, Mage's Anomaly allows you to pull all the enemies close within a 30-meter range. So here's how this loadout works. Essentially, you want to go to your favorite tile set and just group up all of the enemies. When you've done that, simply just freeze them to death, and as you guys can see, their armor has been fully stripped. Now, one thing I do want to say is that if you guys don't pick up an energy orb, then the enemy will have all of their armor. However, it will be reduced to like 90% or to 3% armor left. So until you guys pick up an energy orb, those enemies will always have armor. And of course, if you guys are worried about energy, just make sure to kill those frozen enemies within your Spectre Rage, because like I said with the augment, any enemy that's killed within the Spectre Rage will have a 50% chance to go and drop energy. So just group the enemies up, freeze them and kill them, whether they have armor or not. Of course, if the enemies do have less armor, then you'll have a lot easier time of killing them, because remember, armor is a huge problem when it comes to any weapon. You generally want to go and mod for viral or something like that. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today's video. If you guys have liked the video or it's helped you in any way or form, remember to leave a like and don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more Warframe videos. I'm gonna make like a banana and split.